is, and I don't know if an example will help, I know she'll cut me off, so the reason that I asked for that is we don't get the public comments that are written that night. So we hold a public information meeting, we usually take sign-in sheets and then they get to put some comments, they get to see some, whatever it may be, I don't know what is proposed and I'm not pretending to direct you, that's administration. But then we usually get our comment sheets by email, we get a little time to read them, and then we can come to a meeting to deliberate on. An example would be at the public meeting for Wilson, they wanted, the residents' feedback that I read was they wanted to save more trees. And so taking from those comment sheets, where would that opportunity come to make modifications? Because we have a hard cutoff time. We have to make a decision. If there was a flexible time in making that decision, Trustee Zovic did mention and recommend in committee, well, then at that meeting, we can always say, let's just hold it and wait and make a decision when we get the information, because we are considering the public input. But because we don't have that option, according, the recommendation from staff, then there isn't any wiggle room. There's just like, well.
Yeah, I like the streamlined approach of trying to do it that night, but I don't think, I agree.
I think you could definitely meet afterwards, maybe have some discussion about what additional information is needed. But then, like, the next day would be compilation of all the comments, no different than what would happen for the village board.
Yeah.
So essentially, if Public Works met on the 11th, they would be getting the same information that would be provided to the village board.
Yeah, there's some value to that.
Which would be all of the comments and stuff bundled.
Yeah.
If there was something else that like came out of the meeting on the next, then we're kind of, like after that
So
point.
maybe if we could just convene for a few minutes afterwards, just to do a short reflection, and then just have an opportunity to ask, what else do you need
Yeah.
in
I
order
like-
to make your
I like that
recommendation?
reflection.
Because I just don't want to have that conversation on the 11th, because in my
No,
opinion, that's
it's-
too late.
Right, I agree.
Yeah, okay.
I agree with you.
I think that's.
That was my intention, I guess,
Okay.
of moving towards the 11th,
Okay.
because our cutoff for the board from the review materials from staff would be the afternoon.
Great.
So we have
The 9th is a deep public works committee.
The 9th would be a
Gathering.
public meeting,
Yeah,
public
right.
informational meeting.
Sounds like hosted by the Public Works Committee.
Yeah,
Yes,
Joint.
that's what I'm
Right.
hearing.
but then you said to get together and provide
Following
information.
that public meeting.
So that would be a meeting of the Public Works Committee.
Correct.
So it would be publicly noticed. It's almost like there's two public notices for one night.
Correct,
Yeah.
which is actually what happened with public safety, I could
That's
fight
fine.
ahead.
Is it just one
Um,
public notice?
Yeah, I could do it in a way that's just one notice.
Okay.
So,
Doesn't matter to me, I just, for
Yeah.
the public who
Clarify.
attends.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trustees Rosick and Maher, are you here for the 9th and the 11th?
Yes?
Just looking at my schedule,
You're not.
yeah, no, I'm out of town that week, so
Yeah, I
I missed
thought-
both of those meetings.
I-
So I think you should meet after the meeting and go as long as it takes.
Funny.
Thank
Okay,
you.
well.
Oh, this has been a fruitful discussion.
Oh, no, no, that's kind of
That's right. All right.
Speaking of that, it's 10:04.
Yep.
Yes, we are.
And speaking of that, so we have a motion and a second. Is
Yeah.
there anything else you guys want to add before we vote?
Can you reread the motion, I'm sorry.
I'd be happy to. I actually want to make sure that you're content. So trustee Zovic moved and trustee Menta seconded to approve the Lake Drive Communication and Project Management Plan with the change of the Public Works Committee hosting a meeting joint with the Pet and Bike Safety Committee on March 13th. So that would just be, Pet and Bike Safety has their committee meeting, it'll end, and then right afterwards, we would have the Public Works Committee, which they would just attend.
So it's not a joint meeting, it's a.
Well, it would be a joint meeting afterwards. So the Pet and Bike Safety
Oh, I
meets
see.
at 7:30, we'll have them do their business real quickly, and then we'll have a joint meeting afterwards. So that would be March 13th. The addition of a Public Works Committee joint,
Trustee Zovic, I thought I heard you say there was a public works meeting and they would attend. I just want to clarify.
Yes. And we might have it after the public, after the pet.
They have their
Right.
own business.
But it's a pet, we'll convene a public works meeting
That they will attend.
immediately after pet and bike safety.
But they'll be in attendance.
Absolutely.
It's a joint meeting because they have to be noticed for that, because they'll be discussing too at the same time.
Okay,
So no action.
so this is how I'll read it. With the change, the Public Works Committee hosting a meeting with Head and Bike Safety Committee in attendance
Right.
on March 13th. The addition of a Public Works Committee joint meeting with Head and Bike Safety Committee on April 11 to make a recommendation. And the addition of 2 signs produced by Public Works for the cost of $200.
And then again, the 11th, April 11th, I think it's a Public Works meeting with,
That's, we already have
Keep
that on.
it the same?
That's on there.
Okay, I'll make that change as well.
All right, is everyone clear of the motion?
Yep.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Public Works Committee, for your
Feels good.
willingness.
Thanks, Lynn.
Okay. So, it is 10
Yeah.
something, so, we're gonna be,
can we take a break? I'm sorry.
well,
did we
we're
actually-
actually, we're gonna skip item, we're gonna postpone item E. And, I mean, I guess how do we do this?
You postpone everything to the next meeting?
Okay, then we will move on to item 8, reports of village officials.
Good minutes.
Oh, we have
Are
minutes.
skipping the
We have minutes.
minutes, or-
Yeah, we gotta go back.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just do it next time.
Okay, because last time, I don't know the proper procedure, I trust you. Last time, President Johnson finished them, and then we still postponed the rest of the agenda items.
Right, but it's 10 after 10 and we still have some items and we said we're gonna hard cap it at 10, so. Are we by law, are we able to postpone this?
Under the existing ordinances, it says that a motion to adjourn is allowed at any time.
Okay.
We're not even gonna finish items 12.
It's not debatable.
No, not tonight, we're gonna have to do it next time. So then we have reports of village officials, starting the president's report. I have 3. One is the postcard. I heard some great comments from residents regarding the postcard that was sent out by the village about committees and commissions. And anyway, so some people who didn't even realize that we had a need and they're excited. So for all of you who had a part in that, thank you very much. Let's see, letter, you all received a letter from the Milwaukee caucus regarding, I think it was the dark store legislation and how that's unfortunate that even though there is strong bipartisan support for this bill in the Senate and Assembly, that it is not being moved to the floor. So this is, we still can pressure, but you know, it's not gonna happen this cycle because they're in the throes of their like 2 weeks of their most busy time at the state capitol.
And Tammy, was it something sent out also following that, on that legislation by President Johnson, just saying that, like in West Dallas or somewhere?
West Dallas, you're right, and recently also in Appleton. So this is something that, you know, is really will impact municipalities.
And it could impact us.
And it could impact us. We have a little bit, it could. So it's something that, for all of you who did obviously send letters and support this, thank you for that. And then I saw that the village manager sent out the Healthy Communities Designation application in concert with the health department, so hopefully we'll get some traction on that. Thank you. I have on here, I guess we're moving on to village trust. That's all I have for president's report. Then village trustees, second annual State Municipal League Executive Director and President's Fly-In that I attended in Washington DC. Again, this was at no expense to the Shorewood taxpayer. This was two Wisconsin municipalities and the National League of Cities. It was a very interesting event, lobbying on the Hill. I got to meet with several senators, including Tammy Baldwin, senators from Delaware, et cetera, and there were local leaders from across the nation asking for a robust infrastructure package from the federal government. And as you all know, are probably aware, you know, infrastructure is an issue nationally, and what was being asked of us, some of the proposals that were coming from the Hill wanted more of a local matching or a public-private partnership, but as we also know, if we don't have that kind of money at the local level, so we can't exactly get, you know, we ask, and we're also asking the federal government to give the local, the municipalities the ability to give us the money directly instead of funnel it through the state, because we all know what happens, money goes to the state. It doesn't necessarily, even if it comes to municipalities, it might be at the expense of something else that we would otherwise get. And then also there was a lot of support, bipartisan support for broadband, for maintaining, for ensuring that there would not be state by state or federal preemption of the broadband access, but there are so many states that already have preempted that, so we might have to see some federal input on that.
Just a question, I know you had requested that Leanne provide you like with like just some bullet points.
She did, she was
Okay.
very effective in that, and I shared that with, I shared that not only with legislators, but with the National League of Cities. So it was a succinct, would you, if you'd like to see that, I'll forward that on to everyone, because it was very succinct. And thank you for bringing that up. And that's all I have. We have Parks Committee, trustee Maher.
Yeah, the Parks Commission met on the 13th of February. One item they took up was the improvements to Estherbrook Park funded by the $50,000 that we have dedicated to the county parks for the sanitary sewer easement they provided us back in 2012 when we did the major sewer work in Basin 6. The Parks Commission has been involved with the county planning staff for quite some time. The Parks Commission approved and will be recommending the board in a meeting or two the Oak Leaf Trail connection at Kensington and Estherbrook Park. It'll be a 10-foot asphalt trail that will come across the Oak Leaf Trail. It will be, there will be tapers, so it won't be just a square, so there'll be room for the bikers to move around. And then it will come into the park. There'll be one leg that goes over the parking lot. The other leg will go over and connect to the Oak Leaf Trail near the road. There'll be ADA bumper things that warn to stop at the different roadways. That's $36,350. They're also going to install 10 different varieties of oak trees in that area that was cleared out for the sanitary sewer easement. That's about $6,400. The balance is to replace the backstop fence at the wall line, and they're going to paint the posts, and then they're replacing the wiring, the existing fabric with a coated, so they'll really do an improvement in the baseball diamond. So the whole cost is like $51,239. The parks will pick up the addition beyond the $50,000. So that will be coming to the board shortly. They also discussed the Milwaukee Rivers Keepers program to adopt a river. There's a couple folks from the Conservation Committee that appeared at the Parks Commission. There was a lot of discussion of how to approach this, how to get volunteers, particularly from the schools and the high school, and like the Boy Scouts and other things. The gentleman with the Conservation Committee is going to spearhead the effort. He's going to talk to Michelle Baum, who does the senior yard cleanup, to get some pointers on getting volunteers. So it is going to be moving forward, and then they will, as they figure out more, they will be coming to the board. Because the village, if we're going to sign on to twice a year cleanup, which is part of the Adopt a River, the board's got to somewhat agree and buy into that program. So that'll be coming later. So that was essentially what they covered. Also, the Parks Working Committee of the Parks Commission is also looking at the Atwater Park, how an ordinance or what would need to be in place for some concession operations, like surfboard rentals and chair rentals, how that might look, the issues. So Tyler's working on some of that, talking with surfboard people to see what from the vendor side, what do they need from the village to really be successful. And so that there's some work going on in that, so,
For permits, is that what you said, for the permits at Atwood?
yeah.
Is that the ordinance we talked about when we were setting the fee? That
Correct.
we were gonna come back to?
That's correct.
Okay, so is that committee?
So we're having Parks Commission review that to bring back to the
And then
board.
make a recommendation
Correct.
to a committee, and then the board?
Correct.
That's it.
I have a clarification before we move forward. Our attorney said that when you make a motion for adjournment, you kind of leave. I just want to clarify that we're continuing, so I want to make sure, I don't understand the proper procedure, and I'd like clarification.
Well, nobody made the motion. so-
We need to make a motion to
No.
adjourn? Okay.
Bill wasn't-
The motion to adjourn is neither debatable nor amendable. Can we tell you that?
Okay.
I'm sorry, but we don't have a motion.
Okay. But we deferred the consent agenda based on saying that the motion to adjourn was, I just want to be clear on what I heard.